Well, hello, everybody. It's great to see you all again. Adrian, Denny here. Jay Varady, head coach of the Roadrunners. Bob Hoffman, team president. Julie Sipe, ticket sales manager. Everybody, how's it going?
Good.
Yeah, going well. Going well.
Good. Well, we've got questions from our fans that they've submitted, and then Jay has some names that he's going to draw, and we're going to give away some game-worn jerseys to thank our fans who renewed by May 1st. So who wants to take the first question? Let's start with Jay. Jay rearranged his schedule to be with us, so let's give Jay the first question here. And Jay, our first question comes to us from Mark. What have been some highlights, some key moments, Jay, from the hockey club that you as the head coach have looked at and appreciated and have really admired this year from the group?
Yeah, I would have to say our start. I thought we got off to a pretty hot start and got rolling there for a period of time, and we're able to kind of stay right atop of that Pacific Division, even though it ebbed and flowed for a little bit for a period of time. And I thought over the last couple of weeks our game had started to pick up again.
Julie, is everything good? Good over in your neck of the woods?
Yes, sorry, a little technical issue.
That's okay. Bob, let's take a question from Kathleen, and she's wondering how this situation here with the games being suspended at the time being affect anything potentially for the 2021 season.
Yeah, no, obviously that's one of the biggest questions on the forefront of most sports fans' minds, and whatever their favorite sport is, and for Roadrunners fans with the team here. First, I just want to say, it's great to see you three on this kind of a setup. That's great to connect this way, and I'm really grateful for the fans that want to tune in and watch, and certainly miss all the fans. And it ended way too abruptly, unfortunately, with the with the pandemic and dealing with what we had to deal with, and certainly not in our small corner of the world of the hockey world, but country, nationally and also worldwide. But we'll get through it sooner than later, and we'll be really happy to see everybody again and get our family back together. And those questions that are out there for the 2020-2021 season, I get asked that almost every day by somebody in some fashion, whether it's a corporate partner, a season ticket member, or even members of our staff. And there are a lot of discussions going on at all levels. Pretty much for every league. There's not a league out there that has this figured out. You've heard of NASCAR coming back and racing in front of no fans, and pro golf is going to open up with some tournaments in front of no fans over the next few weeks. But Major League Baseball, question mark, National Hockey League, question mark, NBA, question mark. So when it comes to the American Hockey League and what we're looking to do, it really just comes to whatever's the most forefront of the medical community's advice on safety and how we can safely put together a great product and an entertaining event, an entertaining product out there at our venue. So, those discussions are being had. We're looking at numerous options. If there's a model or a path that could possibly, be brought to fruition, I would tell you we've probably, Adrian, thought of it or put it on paper and dealing with all the teams with the league and with the board of governors. So there is definite planning and trying to get way out in front of this, so that we can have as complete and full of a 2020-2021 season. And I guess, everyone can watch the news and can see the progress that's being made in the country. And, with that, I think that there's hope. And you can look at it and say that, for a fan's point of view, just be aware and be watching what's happening. And you're going to see that as safety continues to move more and more to the forefront, that creates that opportunity in some capacity to be able to open the doors of the Tucson Arena and invite our fans back in to watch the Roadrunners to play again, whether that's something dealing with the 1920 season or whether that's strictly looking ahead to what next season will be for us.
Let's take a question from Doug. It's for Jay. And Jay, your second year here with the Roadrunners, and we had some real key players in their second seasons as well. What growth did you see from our second-year players this year that were rookies last season? Braden Burke, for instance, led us in goals to this point. Jordan Gross made his NHL debut. We saw some great stuff from Cam Deneen, Tyler Steenbergen as well, just to name a few. Kelly Klima. We had a good young group that came into their second year. We saw some good stuff from.
Yeah, well, you touched on a bunch of the names there, so maybe we just go through those guys. I think maturity. We saw a lot of their games picking up at the end of their first year, and I think Braden Burke, obviously all-star this year, was able to kind of lead our team in a few different categories, and I think his game just really matured as he went along offensively. Tyler Steenbergen's another player, that his reliability defensively continued to show throughout the course of the season. We relied on him in all kinds of different situations. Kelly Klima just added a lot every night. He just added energy for us. When we needed that shot in the arm, he was there for us. We needed a key goal. He scored a couple of those this year for us. And a player who just kind of started to find his role on the team, even as we progressed through this year. And you mentioned it there, Jordan Gross playing his first NHL game as a defenseman in the organization. I thought that was a huge accomplishment for him. He was a player who was used in all situations, almost more than anybody else, and we counted on him a ton every night, whether it's on the power play, penalty killing, playing against other teams' top players. He did a lot of really good things for us.
Let's take a question from a different Kathleen for Bob. And Bob, this Kathleen is wondering what measures are being taken and looked into as we adjust here for Roadrunners games and public events following the pandemic at the TCC.
That's amazing, really, what changes that society is looking at, and really how great people have been in learning social distancing and realizing that having those clusters of groups, when you've got a disease out there, can obviously be something that's a problem and something that can cause issues for those at risk and for all folks, as nobody wants to get sick. We have to look at and work with the city, work with the arena to come up with numerous different things that we can put in place so that fans feel safe and that they understand that when they come to the game, the person sitting near them or that might be in line behind him to get into the arena is a healthy individual that doesn't pose any risk for them. So, I can't talk specifically yet as to anything we'll implement for the Roadrunners, the Tucson Arena, but I can say, at least in the industry, it's been amazing to see really the innovations of different people. As sometimes crises and problems like this will really bring innovation out. And you're seeing things that people can walk through that'll take their temperature, that right now a lot of casinos are looking at, and different other large gathering venues are looking that might be able to detect if somebody might have a fever, or somebody may not be exactly ready to go to a hockey game yet, or go to any event. So you have different spacing issues. I think you've seen it probably in your grocery stores and at your local gas stations, to where just trying to encourage people and give them the easy guidance to stay 6 feet apart or have that distancing. And also, I think, again, from the innovation standpoint, there's some things that have really been on the forefront of the sports industry from the arena perspective that haven't taken off yet, but I think this may push it in that direction. When you talk of cashless facilities that to help with that lack of the contact, that it's cashless, and that you can do all your ordering through an app or through your phone or online or through an order form, as opposed to waiting in a long line and stretching it around, which when we have our larger crowds, the Tucson Arena fans, I'm sure, are well used to having to wait in some long lines here. That might help curtail this. So there definitely can be some benefits that come through it. We're looking at a potential pre-ordering and delivery of merchandise, so that it'll give people that opportunity to see what's available ahead of the game, and not have to kind of congest and stand in a crowd in an area at our merchandise store potentially. So those are all just some things that, again, not specific to the Roadrunners, that are being talked about around the sports world in different venues. What it'll look like as far as capacity and seating, and whether there needs to be space between groups or space between rows. All that'll get played out, and those are all those models I mentioned earlier that are being looked at and explored, so that our fans have the absolute complete feeling of safety when they come to take in a Roadrunners game.
Let's take a question from Vern. It's for Jay. And Jay, we talked about our younger guys, but we also had a good core of veteran leadership, returning guys coming back from our first season here, yours and mine, our first season in 18-19, that were here in 16-17 and 17-18 as well. But some guys that the organization went out and signed on the first day of free agency last year, like Aaron Ness and Andy Mealy and Bo Bennett, to join guys like Michael Bunting and Dyson Mayo. What about our veteran leadership group makes them such a good fit for our organization?
Yeah, well, I think as a whole, they're a really good unit. Michael Chaput, obviously being our captain, is growing into that role really. He spent a lot of time listening to kind of what the players had to say, and I think he also did a really good job of carrying the coach's message as well. So, a guy may have a question in the dressing room: why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? Why does travel happen like this? And from his experience with the organization, with our coaching staff, he was able to answer a lot of those questions. And, I think that's what leadership does. And a guy like Andy Mealy, Robbie Russo, Fash, those guys, Bo Bennett, answer a lot of those questions that you don't even know about that are happening. And I think those guys really buying into the process was important.
Let's take a question for Julie. It's from Azette. And Julie, Azette's asking, have we discussed on how we'd handle fan interactions and player events any differently following this, the autograph sessions, the post-game jersey auctions? And is that decision something that's made on the player level, the team level, the league level on how we'd move forward there?
Yes, it's a great question. So like Bob kind of talked about, we have to be very careful going into the next season that we're complying with all the health officials and making it safe for our fans. But with that said, we've been very lucky these past few years with how accessible our players have been at this level in this league. Our fans have really built a strong connection with those players, just being able to have that access. So it's very important to us to maintain that relationship and find ways to allow our fans to still connect with the players. Now, what exactly that looks like, it's hard to say at this time, but we'll have to get creative also, like Bob talked about, and finding ways to still have those bonds between our players and our fans, that it's so important to the franchise and to Tucson and our season ticket holders. So we'll definitely be looking to find ways to continue building that. It just might look a little bit different.
Thanks, Julie. Jay, here's a question from Brian asking about our practice day. He says, going into a practice day, how does it vary from one day to the next? What's covered? What's worked on there?
Yeah, I think one thing with practice days is just how far away from a game it is. So if we're 3 days away from a game, there may be a little more activity in the day. There might be some individual meetings. There'll be a workout plan. There'll be practice. And I think as you get closer to competition, closer to that game day, the intensity doesn't really change, but I think the duration of the day becomes shorter. So on a Thursday, we'll probably practice 35, 40 minutes. There'll be a quicker workout where the guys get a little stuff done, get a little work done, and then they're out of the rink right away. So they're fresh and energized, ready for the game.
All right, Bob, let's take a question from Karen, and she's asking about opportunities to skate on the ice before the game, after the game. What can she do to have some skating time for her groups and for us to continue that experience and continue to grow?
Right now in the midst of our fourth season and next year being a really big year with our fifth anniversary season, it's amazing to think it's taken us 4 years to try to figure this out and to try to figure out a great way to get that ice access to our fans. Not everybody has skates here in Tucson, so that makes it challenging. So that's been one of the hurdles that we've had to encounter along this route. But I can say certainly, Karen, we are working to try to get those opportunities to get on the ice. One of the postponed games that happened in our final 6 games happened to be one that we were having a post-game skate, a Sunday afternoon game when the game was going to be an early time, and then we were able to skate afterwards. So we were trying to provide that opportunity there. And what's really helped with that, I think, is just the vision from the city as well, and seeing all these opportunities for many people to get on the ice. The holiday ice that took place over by Hotel Congress this past year, the numbers are astronomical as far as how many people came out to skate from Thanksgiving until New Year's. And they went out and purchased skates to have for that practice and that process that they intend to make an annual event around Tucson. And those skates, the city has welcomed for us to use, and that's what we were going to utilize for that game on the 15th of March that we were unfortunately unable to play at that time and had to postpone. So when we look ahead, those opportunities will be there for us to create post-game skates in the atmosphere that fans can come and enjoy it. We don't play very many afternoon games, so it makes it a little bit challenging because you don't want to have people, having to hang out till 11 p.m. after a Friday or Saturday night, 7 o'clock start time. So we'll have to see what the schedule provides and see what opportunity is there to allow our fans to get on the ice and use those skates. And if you have the skates, bring them, as we've been able to see in opportunities in the past to open our ice to fans. A lot of people in Tucson do have skates, but a lot of people don't. And we want to be able to try to provide those. And that's one of the opportunities that the city Parks and Recs Department is kind of created by them taking that step and creating that outside atmosphere for the holiday rink that we were happy to be a partner with this past year as well. And just to see the number of people, I mean, typically they'd have, an hour wait to get a pair of those skates to get out there and skate. And that's only going to keep on growing each and every year. And like I said, make that an annual event. So those opportunities, Adrian, Karen, they will be there in the future for us.
All right, let's take another question for Julie. Speaking of that fifth season here in Tucson, and Julie, this question comes from John, and he says, are there any ways the organization's looking to capitalize on the fifth season here in Tucson? Any new promo ideas that we've had that we haven't done before, and just looking to keep the excitement?
Yeah, absolutely. We're really excited for our fifth season here in Tucson. We have a lot of fun plans for it, and thanks to those who participated in our online promotions bracket to help us with some of those decisions for next year. So I think what you'll see is a great mix of the old and the new, some of those favorites that we've had going since year one, but definitely a good mix of new ideas that we have going into next year. Unfortunately, we've got this break here in time, from games, but it's actually given us a chance to come up with some great things. And for the 5th anniversary specifically, we'll look to do its own special logo that'll be featured at center ice. We'll have special jerseys, merchandise, all kinds of fun things revolving around that 5th anniversary logo and 5th season here in Tucson. So we're really looking forward to it.
All right, let's take another question for Jay. And Jay, this one's about the face-off circle. When a player's kicked out of the draw, what factors have gone into that decision from the linesman, and how do you decide who steps in for him?
Yeah, usually the linesman's making the decision there at the circle. Obviously, there could be an infraction from maybe another player stepping over the neutral area at the face-offs on the hash marks there, or it could be the center just not doing what the linesman asked in a particular situation. But in terms of who goes in next, it happens so quick that the guys on the ice know who the other centers are on their lines, or know who can take draws on certain sides, and they usually kind of just look at each other and jump in.
It's probably one of the top 3 questions I think we get asked. So thanks to that fan for jumping in there. Bob, here's a question. Any plans to add any other amenities like additional video boards, any other elements, games on the TV screens that we have on the concourse inside the arena at the TCC?
Well, there's definitely conversations always happening prior to really what happened in March and prior to, having to have this pause. Rio Nuevo, who is the district, obviously, that manages the facility here downtown, and ASM is the management group. We've had numerous conversations with things that are happening on the campus in a lot of different areas, as far as parking garages that are going up, as far as having new carpeting in different areas, upgrading some of the restroom facilities. You got to understand that this campus, has, meeting room space. It has the Leo Rich. It has the call as well as the arena. So there are a lot of different things that are a part of renovations that need to be done. And really the start of that came with our ice plant that was a behind the scenes thing that happened last summer that started these renovations that a lot of fans weren't really aware of, or wasn't something that was in the forefront or something you see. But I know Jay and his crew certainly would appreciate the fact that there was a brand new ice plant that created solid ice for the team and didn't have to worry about a breakdown. As I can attest, I've been with an operation before, an organization, I don't know if you have, Jay, or not, but where there was a leak in one of the pipes underneath the surface during the season. And things can come to a grinding halt when you have to start tearing up and drilling and jackhammering cement to find leaks and figure out how to fix it. And with this new system and the redundancy that it presents, it's really a great thing that the hockey team needed to have for this level. And that started last summer. And then now these other renovations are happening. Fans by the end of December are going to see a brand new parking garage in Lot A. So that's construction, even though that we've paused and stopped where we are right now, that is continuing. And really, again, I talked earlier about innovation and things to where sometimes when tested, you find different avenues. And the parking situation that our fans were loud and clear about throughout the course of the end of the season there and into the spring of some of the problems they were having with parking with the construction led us to go out and find other alternatives and opportunities. And we were prepared to unveil that for the playoffs when they happen and if they would have happened, to where free streetcar rides, different parking garages around town providing free access, and shuttle rides from different points around Tucson to bring fans so that it took that question mark of having to worry about parking or whether or not I'd get a spot right out of the equation. Pop into a restaurant on University, have a happy hour or a dinner before, jump on the streetcar for free and get yourself to the hockey game. And those types of things are still in the mix and things we're going to try to put in play for next year as well. So again, with some of the hurdles that we face, we try to find opportunity and try to make sure that we find solutions instead of trying to just listen and complain about the problem that we have. We do try to find solutions for our fans. So certainly enjoy hearing that from fans and letting us know your issues, and just know that they do not fall on deaf ears, and we do work to try to make your experience here as good as possible. And if that experience comes back to Adrian's question of some of the new changes and things that can happen within the arena, we're looking at that as well. We're looking at whether it's improved IT from the video board side of things, potential different digital boards, digital rings, TVs, different things that can try to make that experience better. And that's all just a part of how we evolve with the Tucson Arena and how we try to, now heading into our 5th season, create those new opportunities. And it's really good to have the support of ASM and the city as they're, and Rio Nuevo as well, as they're right there looking to, you hear Fletcher McCusker, the head of Rio Nuevo, often will mention, that he wants this to be kind of, our Central Park, and that this is our big center is right here in Tucson, is the campus, is the Tucson Convention Center. And with all the construction that's happening and all these improvements, I know it creates some dust in the short term, but when you see the forest through the trees and you're able to see what this is going to be in 2 years and then in 3 years, it's really going to be an amazing area and really solidify that growth and redevelopment of downtown.
All right, Jay's volunteered to draw the 12 names of the fans that have won the game-worn jerseys. So we'll let him take a few more seconds and get ready for the drawing on his end. And one final question for Bob. And Bob, the question is, with in-game elements, the game presentation, everything's always evolving. If a fan has an idea on something they'd like to see or something that we've done before that they'd like to see again or like to see more of, what should they do?
Well, you can certainly reach out to us. I mean, and a lot of fans do through our info email, through our website. Again, it goes to that point I just made that we do listen. That's one of those things, Adrian, that any organization I've ever been with, you've got that balance of repeating things until they become maybe stale. Or do you always look to try to find new and innovative things to do throughout the game? So you always try to find that mix. You want to keep those staples that make fans extremely happy and the ones that build tradition. But you also want to make sure you entertain new people and try to make it fresh and exciting. So there is no perfect science to it. If there was, that person would write a nice book and make a lot of money off of it. It's just trying to find what's the best way to be able to keep that game presentation fresh, while embracing some of those traditions as well, to make the folks that never miss a game see that thing that they always enjoy and something that they always point to. And 10 years from now, they'll point back to it and say, you remember when they always did this or that at a game? So we do listen, and we are constantly evolving that, and heading into our 5th anniversary season, there'll be some really cool new features while keeping and embracing the tradition that's been with us all the way through these first 5 years.
All right, Jay, you ready? We've got 12 names. You're gonna draw, select, and announce for us, kind of like you're in the locker room before the game, announcing your starting lineup.
Nice.
That's the problem. I don't do the starting lineup, but here we go. Michael and Sue Gray. John MacArthur, David Wagner, Randy and Bev Roosing, Nicole Fry, Janice Sleeper, Annette Winery, Jennifer Power, Theodore Green, Faith Stevenson, Jeanette King, Stephen Stone.
Very good.
I'd like to say, Adrian, to that, congratulations to those 12 winners to win a game-worn jersey from this past season. But if you're not a season ticket member of the Roadrunners, I know that the first group that's going to see our virtual panel here is going to be season ticket members, but then the public will see it. But you hear some cool things like that to where you can get a game-worn jersey, to where there's concession stand incentives that different fans get. Look at those benefits, and they really are worth it. It's savings on your seat. And Julie's done an unbelievable job of mapping out and calendaring all the different promotions and incentives throughout the summer to help us along to our 5th anniversary season. And the only way that you have those opportunities is to be a season ticket member. If you were one last season, make sure you renew and get your form in. And if you have never been a season ticket member, go ahead and sign up to become one, be a new season ticket holder. And that membership, I guarantee you, it's going to pay dividends for you as you get all these different incentives and promotions along the way. We had a contest just a couple of weeks ago where a couple of lucky fans had the ability to go out and win their season tickets for the year. We do a shoot for seats during the season. This past year, that had to be postponed, unfortunately, but we are going to hold that prior to the start of this season. So you'll still have that opportunity to make that shot, beat Aiden Hill, and you'll be able to it's a cutout of Aiden Hill, Jay, so don't worry. We're not taking Aiden and going to put him at risk. But it is one of those ones that we're going to be able to have fans take a shot and have an opportunity to win their seats for free. And I really believe, and it's something that we keep our eyes on throughout the season and in the off season. We want to give our season ticket members more benefits than any other team in the American Hockey League. If we hear of teams that are adding things that we feel are getting even close to what we offer, we'll up the ante and add more to it. So we're always looking for that. And the only way you can get those different perks and benefits is to be a member.
All right. Thanks, Bob. Julie, thanks for stopping by. Jay, thanks very much for answering the questions and handling the drawing for us. We appreciate it. We'll see everybody soon. Go Roadrunners.
Great seeing everybody.
Thanks, everyone.